Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first video podcast of The Bravery Behind the Brand. And today I have with me Suzanne Young, and I'm your host, Amanda Jane. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you for joining me. This is very exciting. So, before we start, I'm going to ask my first three questions just so we can get to know you a little bit better. So, do you have a favorite motivational song?
I do, and I was reminded of this today, which was really timely. And it's got to be "This Is Me" from The Great Showman,
Oh, I love that
because
song.
the whole like I'm bruised, I'm battered, and actually, if you don't like me, sod off. This is me, and I'm not bending for anybody. I am who I am.
I love that song. I think it's such an anthem. Have you seen the video where they were rehearsing it on YouTube? Oh, that is so good.
So that was the reminder that was gifted to me today, and I was like, it's absolutely that song, and it's absolutely that sentiment.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And I love her and I love the movie. Yeah, fantastic
Yeah.
choice. I'm not sure that's on the playlist, but it's going on anyway. So, do you have a motivational quote?
Yes. And this one, when you're like 22 and you've got a pal and you have lots of drinks together and you go out together
Oh,
and
those
I,
days.
oh yeah, back in the day, I had a lovely pal called Clark, and this one was one that he came up with, and then we refined over many nights, like in the pub. But actually, it's always stuck with me. So like I'm talking, what, nearly 28 years later, it's still a quote I live by. And it's confidence gives the ability to challenge the status quo.
I like that.
And we both kind of lived by this for quite a long time is, are you being confident? Are you challenging things?
Yeah, that's such an unusual thing to do at such a young age, but I absolutely love it.
Let's just say we were deep. I don't think we were half as deep as we thought we were.
But what a thing to do. But yeah, it's fantastic and a nice barometer to check yourself before you're doing anything and asking yourself, are you being confident? No, that's brilliant. I love it. That's fantastic. And this is me just being nosy now. Do you read? And if you do you have a favorite book?
I am an absolute bookworm, although I don't read half as much as I would like to. And my favourite book is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. And I read it before the original film came out. Um, I'd say to anyone who's watched the film and really likes it to read the book. The book is different, as they always are.
Mhm.
There's more dinosaurs. There's much more about chaos theory. And one of the reasons I like Michael Crichton is because he has quite a very, well, yeah, there's no quite, he has a very scientific bent on the way he writes. And my background is kind of in engineering and science. Um, but the book is really intriguing because there's so much more going on than on the films.
It's always the way, isn't it? Always the way. The book is always better than the film. I never quite got into Jurassic Park. I watched it with my family. My husband adores them, but I'll mention the books to him because he's on a bit of a reading fest at the minute. But interesting perspective. But yeah, the books just they never quite translate onto film, do they? It's
Well, I remember watching the film in the cinema and smiling because the first 10 minutes is really like the beginning of the book. And I would say to your husband, don't bother reading the second book because the second book is written for the people who've watched the film.
uh,
It's not for the people who've read the first book.
hmm hmm
But without doing too much of a spoiler, and I could honestly talk to you for an hour about this book. Um, the dinosaurs are escaping the island is the
Ah,
big plot line that isn't in the film.
right. And they must have heard the cha-ching then, if that's why it was it was written. Oh wow, that's fantastic. Brilliant. Never thought of that, Jurassic Park. You were right. I am surprised.
I did tell you you'd be surprised.
So on to you and your brand. So tell us about your business and what or who inspired you to start it.
So my business is Rivoli Limited, and Rivoli Coaching is really what I'm going to talk to you about because Coaching is all about building confident leaders. And the reason for this is I left two reasonably high power jobs through bullying and burnout and really toxic workplaces. And I thought, wow, this isn't is this me or is this something else? And after I'd left the second one and stepped back and looked and analysed it, what I realised was actually I was surrounded by people who weren't confident. And that was manifesting in some quite toxic defense traits and protection traits. And got me thinking about, well, actually, if we could help those people who are only acting out of survival and aren't bad people, if we could help them be more confident in the workplace, then everybody in the workplace benefits.
Hmm.
That was my inspiration. And I think I talk about the receptionist in any business. The receptionist gets the brunt of everybody walking in. You know, morning Suzanne, morning Suzanne, hi. You know, they get the feel of everyone walking in. And I actually want to make the receptionist enjoy their job. And the way to do that is to make sure everybody in the workplace is happy and culture starts at the top.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely does. Interesting then. So do you think they were hiding the lack of confidence they and the toxic traits they were hiding behind? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fear of being found out, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think any of them were intentionally toxic.
Hmm.
I don't think they even realized what they were doing. And actually, because they were being like that, there were things were coming back at them, which was making the situation worse. And I think once it starts, it can perpetuate really quickly. And once somebody starts being aggressive, then other people will be aggressive too. Like very on a very animal level, they've got to show that they can have the fight so that the fight doesn't happen.
Hmm.
But that means that you get a culture shift into this toxic workplace. And as people feel less confident and more they're making cuts, it could be me, I've got a mortgage, I've got a family, they get anxious. And we talk about imposter syndrome, and it's not imposter syndrome. It's about anxiety and worry and stress.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we are animals. We will protect the prime objective is to stay alive and stay safe.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's not a conscious decision, that's a subconscious decision. So it deploys all of the things that have kept it safe previously in the past, which might include things that happened in the schoolyard. And there you get the very kind of like almost schoolyard culture in the workplace, with people who earn big salaries being, I'm not speaking to that person, or I'm not going to ring them, or I'm not helping them, which isn't where we should be.
No. So interesting observation and probably will resonate with a lot of people listening or watching. Um, that that trait, that type of behavior, and we've probably all worked in it, we've all seen it, but never really stopped to think what was behind it, what was causing it. And there's a lot to be said for corporate culture and where it originates, how it infiltrates the rest of the business, and as you mentioned, the receptionist, how it ripples out to the whole of the organization. I could talk about that for a long time as well. Really, really interesting.
Absolutely. And like, let's put our hands up. Who's really good at leaving how your day went at work? At work? Absolutely no one.
Mhm. Mhm.
Absolutely no one. And so it comes home as well, and then you get conflict at home, and now you've got no safe space potentially.
Mhm.
And so it just ripples. So why not kind of find the root cause, which is the confidence, and or at least by building their confidence, you give them a different set of skills to be able to protect themselves with.
Mhm.
And by doing that, you change the culture.
And see things through a different lens as well,
Yeah.
because not everything is as you perceive it initially. So
No.
it's so fascinating. I could, studying it and learning about it has always been an interest of mine as well. So what's been the biggest challenge that you faced building your brand and how did you overcome that? So I imagine that corporate culture was a massive challenge.
Well, there's two things really. One is like leaving corporate and setting up my own business and thinking I'm like going to just do what I want to do without all of those safety nets that come with corporate. So, for example, right now I need a shoulder operation, but I can't afford to be off sick for 6 months. So, not that I think I will be, but there's things to consider, and that comes with a feeling of responsibility. Um, but my biggest challenge was really kind of finding my own space in the world of business and not going, well, actually, there's a coach just like me over there, and there's a hypnotherapist just like me over there. And just recognizing that actually, go back to that song, I am me and I'm unique
Mhm.
and I will appeal to some people and be brave. One of my biggest challenges, and it happened for quite a long time, was I was playing small. So I was looking to work with other business owners and small businesses, but actually all the time I was getting the feedback that I'm quite corporate, quite professional, quite process driven. Um, I speak very easily and comfortably in a corporate space. And then someone said to me, so why aren't you actually doing all of this like in corporate primarily rather than as a secondary? And at that point, I went, I'm kind of quite bold. So I decided to invest in a corporate learning and development forum where I effectively bought speed dating slots with corporate buyers.
Wow.
So it was a big investment. Each slot turned out to be £350 to have a
Ooh,
25-minute conversation with people. Big
wow.
investment.
Huge.
But the leads I got from there were equivalent to £250,000. So I knew it was going to be a big investment, but it also had potentially big returns. And I'm still nurturing those. Like
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said I've actually signed anyone, but I'm nurturing them and I know two of them are going to sign. And that's between the two of them, I think worth about 80,000.
Wow. That's incredible. Big risk, but huge reward. And the experience as well. So wow, well
But
done.
it, but it also forced my hand to really, really kind of be able to describe the products
Hmm.
really well. So
Hmm.
those um, programs, so I've got a confident leader program. That program got really kind of, it had been like a few bullets on a page up until the point where I signed up for that event. And then it was like, right, I now need to really understand the objectives, really understand how I'm going to deliver it, trial it, make sure it works so that I can go confidently and talk
Mhm.
about it.
Because under that umbrella, you've got to be quick. They want results, they want the outcomes, and you can't afford to waste a precious second by dithering over what your deliverables are going to be.
Absolutely. I had the four kind of key products, some that we could design with the client, some that are you just buy this as it is and this is what I deliver. Um, but I knew every one of them inside out. And then my little cheat was I had them all in A5 like clear plastic stands.
Mhm.
And at one point, someone sat in front of me and went, how are you remembering all of this? And I went, I'm not. And I turned them round and I had like literally bullets written on the back of every one of them. And
Is it
yeah,
face to face or did you do it over Zoom?
no, no, this is face to face. And we were roaring with laughter. And I said, that's what you get with me, right? You get honesty. I'm not going to pretend that I know all of this stuff. But I had like bullets, which were, it was the price. It was how long it would take us to mobilize that particular program.
Mhm.
It was how many people they could put on the program. And
Yeah,
that was it. There were three bullets.
fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
But it was like, I don't want to get these confused. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just gonna I've got it all prepared properly.
yeah. So that was your lesson. You decided to play big and it's paid
Play
off.
big. Yeah, and it is paying off. I would lie if I was saying it has. It
Mhm.
is
Is
paying off,
yeah, yeah.
but it brought me so many benefits. I got really comfortable really quick in talking about my products. I got really comfortable really quick in just being in that environment. My I scrubbed my branding. So I pulled together four new roller banners, and then I matched my branding with my outfits, with my like handouts, all of the things that were just kind of just slightly not in line.
Mm-hmm.
You develop something, and then 6 months later you develop like
Mm-hmm.
your goodie bag, or 6 months after that you do a banner. I pulled them all back in and made them all consistent, and that was really good. Feedback I got from that was amazing.
That's so interesting because that exercise forced you to reevaluate all your assets quickly and see
Yeah.
it through a different set of eyes and think, right, that needs to align, that needs to align, and that needs to align. I mean, tough learning conditions, but absolutely worth it. And when you are forced to look through that different lens, you see the clarity, don't you? You think, right, that's got to shift, that's got to shift. So, oh well, you'll have to keep me posted
I
how that
will.
one goes on. Oh wow, that's amazing. So my next question is, if you could give yourself a piece of advice, your younger self, what would that advice be?
Oh, sort your confidence problem out quicker, right? Like, just get really comfortable with yourself as soon as you possibly can. It came really late in life for me to get comfortable in like in myself.
Hmm.
Um, and I really wish I'd done it like 30 years ago. Um, and if I could learn one lesson, it's what people think of you is none of your business,
Hmm.
right? Don't waste any effort in trying to persuade them differently. They're just going to dig their heels in. Just accept who you are and be comfortable with who you are, and then do what's right for you.
Hmm. Isn't it interesting that getting that right is the key? I agree with you completely. It's the key to happiness. And one of the things I try to teach my children very, very young is be comfortable being on your own. Enjoy your
Yeah.
own company. Because if you can enjoy your own company and find joy in that, you'll never feel, well, you'll feel lonely, but never like destitute lonely because you'll be happy to occupy yourself, read, do whatever. And I think from that, being comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable being on your own, comes the confidence. And I've always said, for example, I will not hesitate to go on holiday by myself. But I remember when I was in corporate, when I was in my 20s, I used to have to travel up and down the UK. And obviously that involves staying in hotels and overnight stays. And I really did not want to sit in the restaurant by myself and
It's
eat.
always the restaurant, isn't it?
Yeah. And I thought I am going to starve or I am going to die if I live off Kit Kat, Coke and crisps. So I thought, so I sat and I analysed it and I thought, right, what's the problem? So didn't want to sit in the restaurant eating by myself. Why? Because everyone's looking at me. Why? Because you're on your own. Why? Because you're a female. So then I thought, get a book, go to the restaurant, have a nice meal. And then I thought, let them look, let them wonder what I'm doing. What's this lone woman doing? And then I turned it on its head and I thought, I could be anybody, let them
Yeah.
wonder what I was. So that little change in my attitude to myself, then I got comfortable. I can travel anywhere, I can go anywhere, I can eat anywhere. And all of that stemmed from being comfortable being alone, traveling alone, eating alone, and being comfortable being alone. But all of that I had to go through those things to ask myself the questions because there were no prompts. But I think now hopefully young people are receiving the prompts. They're seeing them on social media, listening to podcasts like this, and asking themselves that question, am I afraid to eat alone in a restaurant? Do I have the confidence to do as you say? Go, am I confident enough to do X, Y, Z? And hopefully they will, but you can save yourself 30 years of heartache.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done what you've done. I've been the corporate traveller and sat on my own. But what's interesting is for the last 2.5 years, I've been traveling transatlantically to see a client. And I'm typically in Toronto over a weekend. And on the Saturday night, I love the fact I do this. I walk into the theatre and I'll say, have you got any tickets for tonight? And they'll say, oh, we've only got odd ones. Brilliant, I'm on my own. And I go to the theatre, but even better than that, so I do that about 5:30, 6 o'clock. I go back to my apartment. I get dressed up to go to the theatre, and then I turn up like I'm on a hot date. And I think, who on earth am I to be doing this? But who am I to not?
Yeah, I love that. And why not? Why not?
Oh,
In
exactly.
in Toronto with that fantastic opportunity. And why do you need someone else's permission to go? Why do you need someone
So,
else's permission to dress up, make an event of it? And for the person selling you the ticket, how dare they look at you strangely? I just think, wow, good for you. Back to that
and look at
song. This is me. I turn up on my own and I do these things. But yeah, I'd be the same as you. I wouldn't hesitate if I really wanted to go. I would go by myself. Absolutely. That's
But
amazing.
it's really interesting because I've gone skiing on my own over there, and I've literally been at the top of the piste going, how on earth did I end up this person? This is amazing.
It is.
Um, but I think all the things I held myself back from because I wasn't confident, because I wasn't prepared to just go, let's see what happens.
Yeah. And that is the process, isn't it? That unfortunately is the journey of life and wisdom and knockbacks and all of that. And to take that away itself is a learning journey, isn't it? But that's what happens when you age.
I think so. And I've done a lot of work on my confidence. I wouldn't be doing what I do if I hadn't have gone through a similar journey. Um, but I think like having confidence, having grown my confidence, has impacted so much of my life. Not just the things that are obvious, like standing up and talking to people and having a business, but like my ability to ski after a big accident. Previously, I would have said I'm never skiing again after the accident I had. But actually, I was like, well, do you know what? Let's just see what happens. Worst case scenario is I have a nice winter holiday and I read a lot of books. There was no downside. And I think that's the thing with confidence, right? You stop seeing the downside. You just see it's either this opportunity or that opportunity without being toxic positivity. It's just like your mind shifts, that lens is different.
Hmm. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? And I think I will challenge myself more to do more things on my own. Make a list. Maybe we should do that. Add that to the podcast.
Yeah.
What things are you going to do by yourself for 2025?
Oh, I like that. I like
Yeah, I
that.
do. Yeah,
I'll have a think.
start a list. So, on to your audience then for your business. How comfortable are you showing up online, in person? And I think I know the answer.
I'm fine. I'm less confident with my written copy. Um, because, and I think this is right, I'm quite factual and therefore I put a lot of like statistics in and it kind of can read a bit like a thesis when I'm like doing social media prompts. But I'm really comfortable doing lives, which I'm really surprised at because I just did I just didn't really think about them. I just went, oh, I'll just see what happens. Very much. Have you heard me say that a lot through this podcast? Oh, I'll just see
You
what happens.
haven't, yeah.
I'll just see what happens. Um, and and I found that I'm actually really comfortable just seeing what happens. So if you see my social media, particularly on LinkedIn, which you'll see me most, I have an OBM who I just record videos for, and she cuts them up. When I recorded the first video, I thought I was just briefing her, so I didn't think to record them in a way that that was going to be shared. I didn't realize that was the way she was going to do it. She literally was going to take my video where I was talking to her about the different products and what I've been up to and everything else. I didn't appreciate that's what was going to go out on social media, and I really don't mind. It's fine. Um, I spent a long time worrying that having an accent was going to be a problem. And then I realized I don't care because it's all part of me. And if we talk about my accent, you'll realize it's really blended and confused, and that's fine as long as people can
And
understand
it's
me. It's
probably your superpower. I talk to a lot of people that are bothered about their accent, and I see it as a superpower. If that's something that is unique to you, that is you, and your accent is part of you, and it's definitely a superpower.
the reality is this is the way I speak. I'm
Hmm.
not going to turn up at a corporate training event where I'm doing a confident leader program. So, hello,
I
my
know.
name is Nan. I'm not going to turn up like that. I'm going to turn up like really like using my hands and talking the way I normally talk.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm the same. I can't quite tone it down. I'm very chatty, and that style just doesn't really go away. But I try to use it to my advantage. But I do find it easy to engage an audience and get them to answer my questions when there's plenty of people in the room. But you have to work to those strengths, and the minute you try to copy someone else, for me it's game over. Why, you might see someone in the industry and you think, oh, wow, they're doing really well, they're brilliant, but that's because they're them. But the minute you try to copy someone's style, their words, whatever it is they do, that misalignment, people can see it a mile off, and you're not comfortable. And it interested me then when you said about your OBM recorded, used stuff that you were telling her to do. You were probably most comfortable saying that stuff. And that's
Yeah.
probably because weren't going to, you weren't aware that that was going to be the stuff that was recorded. So you're doing oh, this is this, and then you're doing the corporate thing. because it's being recorded. But that's
Yeah.
the key, that is the key. Just be yourself. And it's a message that probably all the coaches in the world drive home to their clients. Be yourself. And
Yeah.
where did we learn that that wasn't good enough?
Well, absolutely. And who are we to decide it's not good enough? So I don't put out loads of pity posts out there, but I will say, like yesterday I was really grumpy and I really was grumpy because I found out that I had a problem with my shoulder that needed an operation and therefore I wasn't going to ski this season. And I was proper grumpy.
You're allowed to be.
But but also I recognised that all that was happening was I was having a temper tantrum about someone telling me I couldn't ski, right? So I said, this is I recognize this isn't a big deal. This is where I am. Um, but I'm sharing that because this is what's going on.
Hmm.
Um, Today I'm fine. It's
Hmm.
like to my convenience today. But yeah, yesterday I was grumpy. Um, but I think like going back to business messages, we can pinball around business going, well, somebody who's got a six-figure business is saying this is the way to go and doing reels where you're lip syncing is the way to go, or doing jazzy dances is the way to go, or like doing impressions of Jack Lemon is the way to go, whatever they say. And you see people kind of going on to the next big thing and on to the next big thing. But actually, that's hard work. Like, it really is hard work. And the easiest thing to do is actually just be yourself because you know what feels right. You know what works for you. I could have built my business up a lot faster if I'd flogged myself, but I chose not to do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've seen people who are, I'm going to sound awful now, I don't mean to, but potentially not as good as I am, doing better than me because they've been prepared to be algorithm friendly. And I
Hmm.
say, fair play to them. That was what was comfortable for them. I'll do me.
Yeah,
Thanks very much.
exactly. You always have to do you. And I agree with you. I don't quite fit into that mold. I'm not gonna do the whole flawless look and do the dances and what have you. And I have joked before that when I dance, it will be when I've made my first million and I'm gonna hold myself to
The
that.
reason to dance.
Yeah, I think there's so many people that are going to join me on it. But if that's your personality and you want to express yourself, that's brilliant. I prefer to use hu humor because I'll scroll and if something stops me dead and I laugh, I will laugh all night. I will tell everyone about this thing that made me laugh. And that's a trigger for me. I'll hone in on the brand in that case. And if I can use that, if it's something that I can share or edit for mine, I will do that. And I can kind of go over my own post and think, oh yeah, that was something that made me laugh. But the dancing thing, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get
It's,
it. But
it's just not me. Like,
no,
and someone said to me, "Oh, it's because you're too corporate." And I'm like, "No, actually, it's just not me. It feels false."
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I need a
and
couple of gins maybe and a dance floor, and that's where I will continue to dance, but not in my lounge
in your
in
pajamas.
my pajamas.
But
But
I, but I will show pictures of my dogs running around, and I will kind of like do walks around the park, and I will kind of do the gym, post gym selfies where I go, that was really hard work, but sometimes you've got to push yourself. I'll do all of that. But yeah, get me doing dances.
And that's behind the scenes, that's behind your scenes, and that's your personality. And the people that want to work with you will resonate with those traits. And that, for me, that's connections. That's what people are happy to see. But anything that's forced, definitely don't buy into it. It just would never work for me. So, what's next then for your brand, and where do you see yourself in a few years' time? You're traveling even
So
more international?
yeah, so I'm going to do a bit more work internationally, I think. That's on the horizon in the next 12 months. I'm um, I'm looking to deliver some of these the Confident Leader program. I've got two of those planned in for next year. Exec Vision Mastery, I've got one of those for next year because my time is quite limited in the next 12 months. I have an international corporate client who I want to do work with a lot. So earlier this month, because it's still October, um, I actually spent a bit of time planning out my time and working out what I wanted to do and then what I really wanted to do. Because if I only want to work 3 days a week, I need to be realistic about what I can deliver.
Yeah.
So whilst it might look like I'm not offering a lot, I'm actually offering quite a lot in terms of my time because I'm very much about high quality. So I'd rather not, said it again, flog myself. I
Yeah.
want to give really good quality stuff. So that's probably the next 12 months. I am in partnership with somebody else to bring in a business mentoring package, a product that'll launch in the middle of next year.
Wow.
And and then ultimately, I'm moving. So I've got protected some of my coaching products, and my longer term strategy, probably 5 years plus, is to franchise them and really make a big impact in the corporate space. So one of the things I want to do in the corporate space is eradicate the toxic workplaces, and I can't do that on my own because there's too many of them, sadly. But what I can do is really refine the two products that tackle it and then train people up to deliver them.
That sounds like an incredible plan. A really, really worthwhile and doable plan. I love that that line just to get rid of the toxic workplaces. And imagine, that you've got these standards for businesses, where they're accredited with different awards. What a lovely accreditation to be non-toxic or
Yeah.
whatever the equivalent would be.
A friendly workplace.
Yeah, that would be something fantastic. And I saw something today which I wish we'd thought of more. There's a lady on social media. I think she's really famous. She has a stutter, and she wants a similar thing. And I thought, yeah, why not? Why don't we have that kind of thing to make life so much easier for her at school and things like that? And just listening to you now, I'm thinking. That would be non-toxic workplace, something similar.
Fantastic workplace.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, yeah, yeah. You can have your ISO 9001, but also you'll have
Yes,
your
not non-toxic.
XY 2001 that says
Yeah,
non
and the other one is it crystal clear English? That's another one. Things like that.
right.
So,
Yeah.
and that had to start off somewhere as well. So, yeah. And when you find yourself in New York and you're going to see a Broadway show by yourself,
Yes.
I expect to see a selfie.
So far, I've seen Hamilton and Harry Potter, the Cursed Child. I'm not holding back on what I see either.
Oh, do you know, my daughter's dying to see that. I'm dying to take her. We just can't fit it in.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Really, really. Yeah.
Oh, wow. But internet, yeah, the world is literally your oyster. There isn't going to be any corner that is not being visited by you. So, where can we find out more about you online and your incredible plans?
So the best place to find me is LinkedIn. I'm Suzanne Young, high performance coach in LinkedIn. I think I'm down as Suzanne Young. I build confident leaders actually. Or sign up to my mailing list and have a look at what I'm up to on my website, which is Riverley, riverley.co.uk. And you'll see all of like the different things I'm doing because there's three different springs to my business really. And that's where the best place is to find me.
Thank you. I will put all the links to those in the show notes,
Thank you.
so people will have them there. Thank you so much, Suzanne. It's been so fascinating, and I'm again just leaning in, wanting to hear more about your incredible adventures. I also think you should write a book about traveling solo, working solo, whatever you want to call it, because I just think, there's so many adventures that can be had if you're, ready to go and do it. But thank you so much for coming on this first video podcast for the Bravery Behind the Brand. And it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Amanda. It's been lovely talking to you, and thanks for the opportunity.